Hi, welcome in everybody to Sports Profit TV. This is the MLS Live podcast for week 3, match day 3, fresh off a 4 wins, no loss performance last week between me and my co-host Garrett. Super excited to be back and talk more MLS for this week, this weekend. Fantastic week. Absolutely smacked the board. How are we feeling, bud?
Good, man. It would have been better if Cincy would have gotten that deserved win, but I'll take the
Yep.
push there. It's fine. But yeah, good week for us. We felt it. We felt good coming into that show about the plays. We liked our reads from the first week, even though it didn't pan out like we wanted to. And so I feel like we're in a good spot early in the season.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. We talk about going into the season, the books are doing a little bit more guesswork than normal, so we kind of use that as an opportunity to get an edge. In some instances where maybe we can get our hands on some information before they can, move their lines. So, but yeah, really good week. Of course, we smacked the Super Collab as well. So we'll look to keep that going again this week. But let's go ahead and plug the sponsor real quick. We are powered by BetUS, really solid sports book. They're offering 200% crypto deposit bonus match play up to $3,750. The link to that promo will be in the description of this video. Alrighty, we talked a little bit before the show. Garrett, not a lot of player news this week to go over, but you have anything you want to touch on before we get into match predictions?
Uh right. Yeah, there's no big like movements coming in, but we are starting to see some of those big acquisitions over the offseason as they get visa issues sorted out, starting to get some playing time. I think for Atlanta, the big Greek got 30 minutes or so. So I would not be surprised to see him start this weekend now that he's getting more acclimated. Van Zier for the Red Bulls, we're high on him. He got about 15 minutes last game. So if he went a full half or even started the game, that wouldn't be as much of a surprise there. And those are the guys you want to see playing. Those are the guys that are absolutely going to help those particular squads. And so, yeah, some of these big offseason acquisitions are starting to get more play time as they get acclimated, visa sorted out. And over the next 2 to 3 games, you should start seeing those that should start actually starting quite a bit.
Fantastic, fantastic. Any word on our striker from Ferencvaros from Hungary for Portland this week?
Nothing. And when it comes to those visas, I would take it at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to get it all sorted out. So I haven't heard anything. So I'd be surprised as of right now if we saw him over the weekend. Of course, this is Wednesday. So we've got 2 more days for stuff to get sorted. And he is eligible to play immediately once that paperwork is sorted out. So if I see anything, I'll be sure to have the show handle tweeted out. But right now, nothing.
Absolutely, yeah, and make sure you guys are following the podcast on Twitter. That's at MLS Live Podcast. Pretty simple on Twitter, so make sure you can go give us a follow there. We mentioned it last week. I really think this is the most in-depth MLS betting podcast on YouTube. We really do our best. Garrett is a news maniac. This guy is up to date on news, probably as good or better than any other MLS, writers and information guys on Twitter. So make sure you're following Garrett as well and the podcast on Twitter. Real quick, welcome in Za, welcome in Fallon. I want to show this one. I know Footy's going to love this one. He said, "Let's go." Do you guys ever bet on USL? Happy to answer this one. I do bet on USL, one of my favorite leagues and one of my best ROI, return on investment leagues that I handicap. Um, Footy doesn't love it because it's basically the minor leagues and it can be a little choppy, but smaller market, the lines aren't quite as sharp. And I like to get grimy and greasy and get involved in some USL. So we will talk about that occasionally. I'll try to get a bonus pick on here, but um,
Yeah,
all
y'all can
right.
have it. Y'all can have it. I'm good.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. All righty. Well, without further ado, let's get into match day 3. We're talking predictions. Garrett, Do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I try not to be too much of a homer. I think you know me pretty well to know that I'm pretty critical of the teams that I'm actually a fan of as far as when it comes to betting them. But
Yep.
this is a spot where I cannot avoid laying a little bit on the Nashville money line in Nashville versus Montreal. It's at home in Nashville, and Montreal's just been bad, man, to start the season. We said that they could be bad. I've been on record saying they missed the playoffs. Like that's going to happen. And
Yep.
I don't know how I don't play this price here. Hanny went a full second half last game, so I would be very surprised if he was not starting and went 60 minutes or the full game here, coming back from injury. He, carries that Nashville attack. So I'm very comfortable with that attack for this match. Saying that, Nashville's got 2 clean sheets to start the season. The defense is playing really well. Joe, the goalkeeper, isn't even having to make that many saves, as that defense is just clicking right now. And to show that, the expected goals against through 2 games is just point 0.9.
Yep.
Like they're not even giving up. They're giving up half a goal a game expected looks basically. So teams aren't even getting good looks. It's not even that the defense is playing well and Joe's making saves. The defense just isn't even giving you lanes and angles to shoot from. Montreal, again, I've already stated it. They look bad to start off. That attack is pretty toothless. They're missing players due to injury. They've sold off a lot of players. Kyoto is really the only threat up there, and he's often a curveball. You're not really sure what you're going to get out of him when he's on the field.
Yep.
The defense is top in the league right now in expected goals against at 4.9 through 2 games. That's they're just giving teams really great looks, and you're gonna get punished eventually if you do that.
Just
Um,
to clarify, top in the league is in worst in the league, right?
yeah, yeah, they have the absolute worst
Yep.
expected goals against right now through 2 games. So I'm totally down to tack a Montreal team on the road against a Nashville side that should only look better this week than they have the previous 2 weeks if Hanny gets a full 60 minutes plus out of him. So yeah, minus 120. I feel like this is a great value play in my opinion.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot too. It's going to be hard for me not to end up being on this. It's funny because you're a Nashville fan, as big as they come. You live there in Nashville. I'm an Austin guy, and I feel like we're both overly critical of our own clubs. It's crazy because like I would be on Nashville in good spots, the last couple of seasons, and I'd be asking Garrett, like, you like the spot, and he would always kind of give me a reason, like maybe why that wasn't a good spot because we're overly critical of our own teams.
And you have to, if you're going to bet, you have to acknowledge and understand your own biases. So
Yeah.
like, if you're a big fan of a team, you can't put the blinders on and not look at the faults of that team and just like, oh, this team's in a great spot. There's no way they lose. Like that's just not how betting works, right? And so you've got to assess the entire landscape when it comes to that game to see, is your team, the team that you like, really in a good spot, or are you just such a fanboy that you can't separate the two? And so I dig that about us and how we operate because we are so overly critical that
Yep.
for us to play our team, they have to be in an exceptional spot, which more than likely for another team would be like a multi-unit play for us, probably, but we're still only going to just stick the toe in because we don't want to get just have that tunnel vision with our bias on a particular team we love.
Yeah, yeah, I do think that there are more pros than cons with that approach, and I think obviously it's worked out well for us in the past. This game for me feels a lot like it feels a lot like the first game of the year against NYC, except Montreal's got a worse defense than NYC. So Nashville backline's been so good, so solid all season. We saw Henny Mukhtar come in at the end of that first game against NYC, and the switch just totally flipped for that Nashville attack. So good that he is getting healthy. This seems like great value. I might have seen some better prices floating around, so it depends on your book. Totally happy with this price. If this is what you have, I think this is, to me, this is like playable, probably up to minus 135, minus 140, because I think that the implied probability of the result on Saturday is pretty favorable for Nashville here at home. Great spot to open the show with there, Garrett. All right, I'm going to move on to my first play of the weekend. Looking at Cincinnati, who will be back home for this one, taking on the Seattle Sounders, CONCACAF champions, Seattle Sounders. But they're not defending because our Champions League is set up a little funny, and the defending champions don't get to be in automatically, which it's interesting. But nevertheless, Cincinnati and Seattle here. We talked about Cincinnati a little bit at the beginning of the show. Probably should have had 3 points against Orlando. 3 big chances, all 3 missed. One for each of their big guys. Their three-headed dragon there in attack. Brenner opens the game, misses an easy chance. Brandon Vasquez has one at point-blank range and sends it over the bar. And then Acosta had a really good chance as well and just sent it wide of the bar. So, really should have gotten a better result than a tie there. They looked like they were the better team. Like they looked like they should have been favored going into that game against Orlando. So, their attack looks great. They're going to be back home where their attack is usually even better. And then here comes Seattle, who I had kind of written off. They're old, they're over the hill. But it turns out they're okay as long as they're not playing, 3 games in 6 days. 4-0 against Colorado to open the season. They created 7 big chances in that game. 2-0 against Real Salt Lake. Last week, they created 6 big chances in that game. Heber has stepped in for Rui Diaz, who is injured but might be back for this game, and he's looked fine. He's got 2 goals on the season in 2 games. And the cherry on top for me is this Cincinnati defense that we targeted so often the last year or two for both teams to score and goals and stuff like that. They're still, they've done a little bit to try to bolster it, but they're still not good. They allowed 19 shots and 8 on target first game of the year against Houston Dynamo. 1.74 expected goals allowed at home against Houston Dynamo. So for me, Seattle, they've started hot. The attack looks good. I think this is a value play. I know it's funny saying this is a value play at -148, but I think this should be closer to -170, -175. So I think both teams to score definitely comes through here.
Yeah, I looked at this over for a while, like when deciding show plays before you even posted this, when I was trying to pick out what I was going to be on, because I do like goals here. The Cincinnati attack is strong. We know that. The only reason why I don't have any futures on them anywhere is because I worry about the summer transfer window. We've already covered that. The big thing with Seattle is they look healthy. João Paulo, Ladero,
Yep.
Morris, they all look healthy and fresh, and we're not, into the dog days of the season yet. And these guys are getting worn down with age and injuries. And so Seattle looks great. They've looked great in 2 games. They've created the most chances. They have the highest expected goal total this season so far. This is their first road game, but I still find the pricing here just interesting on this game as a whole, where Cincinnati is basically even money on the money line, and the total is still under 3. I I love goals here. I do. I think both teams to score is a solid look. I think somebody forces a winner here. I can't see a 1-1. So even both teams to score plus over 2.5. If you're trying to save some juice, I think is a decent play here.
Yep.
Um, this is a matchup I'm going to be watching on Saturday for sure, because I want to know why the books have Seattle at plus 220, plus 230 right now. Um, that's not taking anything away from Cincy. They're a good team. The Seattle team looks like the CONCACAF Champions League winning Seattle side, right? They just
Right.
look great. So this is a great game to be watching just as a fan, a great game to have money on. And I dig the both teams to score here. I think both offenses absolutely get it done, especially if Rui's in. If Rui's in, I think I'm 100% on the over here.
Yeah, I think Rui probably plays at least, off the bench, right, for this one?
I'm looking at injury reports and stuff, and I don't see him
Okay.
on there. I know he's been working off on the side like the past 2 weeks, so I don't know. Like I want to. I mean, he got a little bit of run. What they give him 10 minutes, so maybe a half. I guess it all just depends about his recovery, right? Like if you're only giving him 10 minutes in the game versus Real Salt Lake, then yeah, you're probably only looking at a half here. But if for whatever reason he's in the 11 and they're going to let him go 60 or longer, then yeah, I would love goals. Love goals.
Excellent. Love to hear that. All righty, moving on to our next game. Garrett is going to take care of us on this one. Looking at Portland and the MLS rookies, St. Louis City.
Yeah, Portland, both teams to score plus over 2.5. When I looked at this early when lines opened up, 2.5 was playable by itself, but it's moved, and so I'm not going to lay the juice there for just the 2.5. In a spot where I think both teams to score has to happen for the over to get there, right?
Okay.
So I'll dive in here real quick. That the attack, Portland's attack is middle of the pack, expected goals of like 1.05 average through 2 games. Um, and their defense still has issues. Their expected goals against is a 3.1 through 2 games. So I've harped on their defense here on the show before, how it's not good. Still don't think it's any good. They're struggling to still find out how to use Evander. LAFC, the game last week was a perfect example where Portland's attack is just kind of non-existent until they move out of their shape into a 4-3-3 and throw Evander on the wing, and then he scores a goal and nearly has an assist for the second goal for that corner. So it's just they're still just trying to figure out how to use somebody that talented. It's funny because I see beat writers and stuff talking about how bad he's looked, and I'm just
Hmm.
like, it. We're just not watching the same game, right?
Yeah,
Because
right.
it's clearly that Portland just doesn't know how to use him. The players aren't comfortable with them. They just
Yep.
don't know what to do when you have somebody of this talent. Um, and then for St. Louis, they might have their own stud in Lowen. He's looked crazy good to start the season. He's basically been a journeyman through the Germany's leagues. And I saw a quote today where the sporting director of St. Louis had tried to sign him at 2 other clubs he had been at, and it had come up short both times. So it's just he finally brought him in, and he's looked really good. They're the bottom of the possession stats, which is interesting, but I like it in this scenario with them going on the road. I think they're going to cede a lot of possession to Portland, which I think Portland needs to get set up to score goals. But
Agree.
St. Louis plays that high energy, that energy drink soccer, where it's just press, 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 trying to force turnovers and get you quick on the counter. And they look good doing it. They've got a healthy 3.7 expected goals through 2 games. That offense is looking good. And it's off of mistakes. They're just going to press the absolute shit out of you until you make a mistake. And
Yeah.
so, and that's what they're getting. In each week, they've had 2 just gimme goals where they've pressed right there at the top of the box and won the ball over and had a 1v1 with the keeper. So I like how they're looking. And the defense is middle of the pack. St. Louis's defense is nothing special. Portland can score on them. And so I
Yep.
think this is a game where Portland has to score 2 to at least win. And I think St. Louis is going to contribute. So I like a 2-1 or even a 3-1 here for Portland. I saw the comment about the double chance of draw for St. Louis. It is too early for me to back St. Louis in any way for a result, so to speak. Both their games have been, people are still adjusting to them, have how they play. They're a high press team. There's not a ton of high press teams in MLS. So that's a different look. And you're just not able to do that week in and week out for 90 minutes. Eventually, St. Louis, who is not deep, they don't have a lot of depth, is going to, there's some of those guys are going to get tired and worn down. So I
Yep.
would just wait to see how they look here a couple more weeks in to see if it's legit. Like, are they, an Atlanta United or an LAFC expansion side where they take off like a rocket from the beginning? For me, it's a no because they don't have the same star power as those 2 teams had, right?
Right.
But if you have a full 11 working hard together, you can achieve a lot in this league. You don't have to just be loaded with studs. So we'll see as far as a result. But no, Portland should win this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have no issue with this approach that you're taking. I think this one potentially. I mean, there's a reason that St. Louis has been involved with a game that had 5 goals and a game that had 4 goals. It's the way they're playing, like you said. I think this one matches up to be potentially just as exciting. I don't mind the regular over either. I know you said 2.5 was playable when the lines opened. This is a great price though at -105. I'm just going to segue right into my play because my play also involves this game. And to answer one of our viewers here on the St. Louis double chance comment, I'm gonna have to say no. I'm gonna be on the Timbers actually to get the job done here. From a betting market perspective, from a value perspective, I think this is actually a really good price. I know Portland is missing, a couple of guns in attack, but they've been banged up since the beginning of the season. If this was the first game of the season, Portland is not even money to win this game. They're probably -150, maybe -160, -170 range if this was the first game. St. Louis has won 2 games in a row. Things have just gone perfectly for them. They caught Austin at the right time. Austin kicked the ball in their own goal. They just looked pathetic. St. Louis, credit to them, but you kind of hit the nail on the head. Their roster talent overall is not impressive enough to be one of those, expansion teams that takes off year one, really. I think they're going to level out. I think that this has letdown game written all over it for me because, again, they're on top of the world. They just won their first MLS game at Austin, wild game. Against a team that obviously wasn't as focused as they should have been. Maybe they had their eyes on Champions League. I don't know. And then they follow that up with their first game ever at home in their home stadium. You could not be any higher than that as a player for St. Louis City. Now you got to go and put your big boy pants on and play a real road game in MLS at Providence Park in Portland. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be harder to, you know, it's not the first game of the year anymore. You're not playing the first game in your home stadium anymore. You're kind of back down to earth here, playing a real team in a very, very tough place to play. And I think Portland, it's the third game now. They've shaken the rust off a little bit. Evander got his first goal. Um, you kind of mentioned the St. Louis defense. I think that their defense is terrible, to be honest with you. I think that they are not. I think that they're going to be exposed as the season goes on. So I think that that's just what the doctor ordered for this Portland team. I think Portland gets it done here. Hopefully, it's like 5-1. That way, we both cash. But um,
Well, there's
definitely like
there's
Timbers here.
yeah, I don't think there's any way you get this price here come the weekend. It's already moved on multiple books. I just looked on 5 books that I'm on, just to glance. I don't have even money in any of those books. So you're not
Okay.
going to this price is moving. If it moves a lot, if it moves a lot, then if you don't want to eat the juice, I think you can find a way to combine both our looks and play Portland plus both teams to score and get a decent plus money look at that. That's just if things
I
are
like that.
out of your juice range, they make you uncomfortable or whatever. But yeah, if you're not taking this tonight, I don't think it stays even money long. Especially if Portland gets no negative news now between now and this weekend.
Yeah, I like that look. I like the plus money look there. I don't have my lines up in front of me, so I don't know what the odds are.
It'll be
But
plus 200 or better depending on your book.
yeah, it should be at least plus 200. That's a good alternate look there. But for my second official play of the show, I'm going to be going with the Timbers money line to get it done. I like Garrett's play a lot too. I think that there is a very real world where both of these plays can cash. So don't worry about picking one or the other. I think we both have a good grasp on this game. All right, moving on. Garrett, your third play of the show. Here we go.
Yeah, the last play before the Super Collab. I'm gonna back San Jose Earthquakes here and their team total over 1.5. I love the price it's at. It's very playable as they are hosting the Colorado Rapids. San Jose was one of my picks to make the playoffs this year. I think they were super improved so far. They look like I thought they would on the field. They're averaging expected goal total of 1.5 a game right now, which is healthy to start the season.
Yep.
Um, the Rapids, man, I think on the road, I think this team is going to be very vulnerable this season. There was a reason why I had the under when Colorado was at home, playing about 5,000 feet above sea level. And then if you watch the post game conference after that with between the Rapids and Sporting KC, Tommy, their big midfielder, said it was like the air got sucked out of the room. Like he's that whole team struggled to be able to get enough oxygen to run. That's what
Gotcha.
the elevation does. That's why Colorado does so well at home, and that's why I love the unders there. But on the road, it's a different matter, right? Colorado's defense has not looked great, even with keeping a clean sheet at home last week. It did not look great. Their expected goals against is a 4.8 right now. They're near the bottom of every defensive metric that you can think of, like interceptions, successful tackles, all of those. They're all near the bottom. The defense just that does not play well. Um, they do lead the league in saves with almost 8 saves through 2 games, which tells me that the opposing teams are getting good looks. So I like a San Jose attack side if they're going to get looks there. And then I don't know, Marco Illich, they brought him in to replace Yarbrough. He hasn't played yet, and I don't really know the reasons behind there. He's been training with the team. So
Mhm.
at some point, I think they make the switch to Yarbrough. Um, but that doesn't, if that switch happens this game, I still like the team total here. It's a nice introduction to MLS for him. And I'm down to, attack Yarbrough any day. So whoever the keeper is, I'm okay with this team total.
Yeah, I'm okay with it too. I think you hit the nail on the head about Colorado being kind of night and day away from home and at home because it's such an advantage. They train at that elevation like every day of the week and they go play on the road. But if they happen to be playing at home, it's just such a massive advantage, especially in a sport like soccer where you're just running the whole game. I mean, it's probably even worse than playing a football game where you're just running in bursts. But yeah, they looked really bad week one on the road against Seattle. So I think I think that's who they are. I think that's this defense. They're just not really very good this year. So on the road against a San Jose team, I'm pretty high on San Jose's offense as well. Um, they flipped the switch second half last week, came back, scored 2 goals in the second half. That was fun. That was a show play. Both teams to score in over 2.5. So fun to cash that one. This seems like a nice price. I wonder if the books are feeling like, you know, the Rapids are going to be conservative here, if they're going to sit back. I don't really know why this is as playable as it is, but I think it's a good
This
price.
is this is the books not believing in San Jose.
Okay,
Like
fair
still,
enough.
when you've
Even
been
better.
bad for a minute, you have to prove it to them before you're actually going to get priced appropriately, which is great if you follow a league and can pick up on those teams that have made that turn and should be better going forward. There's definitely room to feast there for a little bit.
Right on. That's even better because the book's not believing in San Jose. I think we're probably watching closer and we see them with our own eyes. So we're fully aware of what San Jose is this year. So nice to catch the book sleeping on this one. All right. Best part of the show. Haven't lost one of these all season. We'll look to do it again right now. We are talking about, of course, the Profit and Just Some Footy super collaboration. Well, let's get right into it then. Super collab for this week. Garrett, you have the first contribution to the super collab.
Yes. So taking a juiced both teams to score, which is Sporting KC and LA Galaxy. Sporting is hosting the Galaxy in Kansas City. Um, and this is the Sporting offense is going to get going. They haven't scored in the first 2 games of the season. It's been a little rocky, but they've had chances. They created looks. They have not just been toothless, so to say, as opposed to like some other offensive we watched. And
Yep.
then I think Dallas just showed everyone how you play against the Galaxy last weekend. The Galaxy's wing play and lack of thereof hurts them. And I
Okay.
think I Vermeer is a smart coach. I think he takes that to heart. And I don't think you see necessarily what you got last week, where I don't even know what they were playing, man, but it looked like Tommy was so far forward that he was almost like either playing as a second striker or a shadow striker. It was weird. Um,
Yeah, that was odd. I mean, that's gotta be because of injuries, right? I know
I,
Johnny Russell's not available, but
Yeah, I don't know. I was just looking over the injury report too, and I don't see Russell on here. So that's a big plus if he's back. And then they got a ton of guys who are game time decisions who could also help out. So we'll have to see what they look like. But I think the formula is there, right? And Kansas
yep.
will try to play that way. They will try to get out and spread it out a little bit on the wings and really expose the Galaxy as Dallas exposed them badly. Um, I think, but Galaxy are always good for a goal. Like this Kansas City defense. We talked about how they're improved a little bit, but it against Jovic in this Galaxy attack, I'm still down for them to get one. And so I think that I think it's properly priced at almost minus 200 or so. And so yeah, for that reason, it goes into the collab.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like it. I like what you said about the blueprint being right there for the taking for for Sporting Kansas City here. I think that game could be a fun one. I like games at Children's Mercy Park. Always great match day energy there. I feel like they sell out almost every single game, so that'll be a fun one to watch. I'll definitely be tuning in to watch this half of the collab come through for us. All right, my contribution to the collaboration for the weekend is going to be Real Salt Lake Double Chance hosting Austin. You probably saw yesterday, if you're watching the show, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Austin was in CONCACAF Champions League, first leg against Violeta, which is the Haitian champions, which I'm not sure that a team from Haiti has ever won a round of 16 game in CONCACAF. I don't know that for sure, but I'd be surprised. Austin went on the road to the game was played in the Dominican Republic against the Haitian side, so same island. They rotated heavily and they got walloped. They lost 3-0 to Violeta, the Haitian champions, and it was really embarrassing. So, and Austin hasn't looked good all season. And on top of that, they're without their best center back is gone. Julio Cascante is hurt. I don't love Real Salt Lake, but they're at home. Another tough place to play in the elevation. Austin has got, the second leg of this. Well, actually, wait, they might not because
We don't know yet. So as of right now, it's been reported that between players and coaches combined, only 12 Violete individuals can get into the country for different reasons.
for the
So
second game, right?
for the second leg. So if that's true, then that yes, they will have to forfeit the second leg. And then I don't know how that looks out because a forfeit is usually a 3-0 win for the other team. But Violete won 3-0, so it'd be 3-3 in title and aggregate. It should technically go to penalties, like if they
Coin
played the
flip.
second game. I have no idea how they're going to handle this. So
Wow.
I can't even look like that far ahead right now until I have more information.
Yeah, only CONCACAF. But anyways, so Real Salt Lake, I'm taking them at the double chance here. I don't think Austin is in a position to win this game. I just think that they overachieved last season. Garrett and I were both on the fade train to start the year. We knew that them repeating that level of success the way that they did with their roster talent was unlikely. The drop off has just continued into this season. So I think Real Salt Lake at least gets a point at home here. And hopefully we will cash another super collab at plus money for you guys.
Yeah, I dig it. Wolf just got it. The Austin coach just got it wrong against Violete. Like the rotation, the setup, it was just wrong. So my only, I told you this before the show, it's the setting that has me a little just on edge as far as this because Austin's going to come out with the full strength 11, and after getting embarrassed like that on the international stage, I don't know. I don't know. I would not back Austin to win this game by any means. and we have been cruising with these collabs so far. So I'm absolutely going to ride here, and just trust you because you have a better eye for Austin than I think I do. So, so real double chance it is, for plus money. These are two really good plays to get at plus money.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for us today. Garrett, you have any more thoughts you'd like to share before we close it out?
Yeah, Liga MX is the worst.
Yeah, they not a great showing so far, which is fine because we're an MLS podcast. We are rooting for MLS teams to advance and Liga MX to lose all the time. So I have no issue with it whatsoever. But one final reminder, if you want to follow us on Twitter, these are our Twitter handles right here, on the little video boxes that we're in. And the podcast is also has a Twitter page, which is at MLS Live Podcast on Twitter. We'll post a lot of bonus content there in the future, and also obviously links to the show once it's posted and once it's live. 4 wins, no losses last week, so hopefully we'll keep that rolling this week. And we appreciate everybody tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Later.